We go across to our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal, who will be talking in detail with us. Dibyendu, the Prime Minister had released a wholesome and an ambitious manifesto for the progress and growth of the country. I have enlisted a number of points that were mentioned by the Prime Minister. How would you evaluate, given the Prime Minister's address at the meeting at the BJP headquarters? And when we talk of this manifesto, how far will it give more strength to the government in achieving the idea of Viksit Bharat?
Well, Preeti, good morning. The Prime Minister today released the election manifesto of the BJP. We are just a couple of days ahead from the first phase of polling, and at this crucial juncture, the BJP enlisted what it aims to do if it is elected back to power in the next 5 years. The Prime Minister was categorical about mentioning several sectors which the government had been already working in. If you look at the announcements in the election manifesto of the BJP, you would see some of the details. For example, in the healthcare sector, which was also announced in the interim budget, has been featured in the election manifesto. Let us talk about the cervical cancer. The budget announced that the government would work towards eliminating cervical cancer, which in fact is a major problem amongst the women in India. So of course, the election manifesto of the BJP categorically talks about this particular problem and how the government plans to eliminate this if it is voted back to power. The BJP has termed the manifesto not as an election manifesto but as a Sankalp Patra, which means that it is a document which all the BJP workers along with the senior leaders have taken a pledge to fulfill if coming back to power. If you remember, Preeti, the Prime Minister from a rally also, when the Congress manifesto was released, the Prime Minister attacked the Congress, saying that the Congress releases a manifesto but the BJP releases a Sankalp Patra, which means a document that pledges to fulfill the promise. So this is the relevance of the Sankalp Patra or the election manifesto of the BJP, where the BJP enlists the promises, the poll promises, which will be fulfilled by the government if elected back to power. So of course, also Preeti, let us talk about how the Prime Minister also spoke about the first 100 days of the work that will be done if elected back to power. Remember, before the election was declared, in the last Council of Ministers meeting that the BJP held, the BJP had asked all its ministers to prepare a roadmap for the next 100 days of coming back to power. So this was the confidence that the Prime Minister showed to all his ministers and party workers, that it is coming back to power and all the ministers should be ready. In fact, all the ministries should be ready with the next 100 days of plan and roadmap for development of India. So this exactly showcases also features in the election manifesto of the BJP. Now if we come to the details of the manifesto talks about multiple issues that the government aims to fulfill if coming back to power. Some of the key highlights perhaps would be the government's commitment, and the BJP had been talking about one nation, one election. This also features in the election manifesto of the BJP. Remember, just a couple of days before the election was declared, the Ramnath Kovind Committee on One Nation, One Election had submitted its report to the government. The government now talks in its election manifesto of implementing this One Nation, One Election, after coming back to power, if it is voted back to power in the general election that is currently underway in the country. So what this One Nation, One Election would entail is perhaps, in the year 2029, the BJP, in fact, the government would hold all elections, which is the state legislative as well as the parliamentary elections simultaneously across the country. And why did the government decide to do this is because it would perhaps save a lot of money of the public exchequer, because holding an election in a country like India costs a lot of money. So the government wants to save the public exchequer's money, and also the number of days that gets wasted of the government to conduct an election as large as that of in India. So these are some of the commitments of the government. Also, the government spoke about uniform civil code. Remember, BJP's one of the pole plank of the BJP for years have been implementation of the uniform civil code, and this again features in the BJP's manifesto, and the government says that it is committed to implementing the uniform civil code if voted back to power. Also, the government talks about increasing the Ayushman Bharat healthcare, which is universal healthcare for all above the age of 70. It also talks about increasing the Mudra Yojana, the loan amount of the Mudra Yojana. The Prime Minister also spoke about the continuation of the free ration scheme for the next 5 years for all the poor people in the country. So the Prime Minister also spoke about, the Prime Minister also said that the election manifesto of the BJP also highlights, issues such as job creation. It also highlights the issue of free electricity. Surya Ghar. The Prime Minister, before the election was declared, the Prime Minister spoke about the solar, the implementation of solar power. So the Prime Minister spoke today about how the government, if again voted back to power, would implement this scheme and try to create a policy where the electricity cost of each household in India would come down to zero. So these are some of the key important announcements made in the election manifesto of the BJP. But interestingly, the BJP's election manifesto also speaks about the transgender community and how benefits to the transgender community would also be meted out. But remember, it was this government, the BJP government, that gave the rights to the transgender community as an identity of third gender, which would be mandatorily implemented in all government forms, and special washrooms to be created for the transgender community. So this again features in the election manifesto of the BJP, which clearly shows that the BJP's election manifesto talks about inclusivity and including each and every individual of the country when it comes to development, and not to leave a single person behind when the BJP's government, if formed back to power at the center, would perhaps bring everyone in the fold of development through Modi ki guarantee, is what the election manifesto of the BJP talks about. Yes, back to you, Preeti.
Yes, Dibyendu, you also summed up the important aspects of the manifesto. Another important understanding of the manifesto is not just encouraging and strengthening India domestically, but making sure that on the global page also India's image and India's position is strengthened. The Prime Minister did not mince words when he talked of the ambitions of New India in the next few years. It's not just Viksit Bharat back home, but Viksit Bharat for the international world as well. He mentioned the ambitions of Gaganyaan. He mentioned the ambition of self-reliance in oil and energy, given the global geopolitical scenario. He also mentioned how India aims to flourish not just in the field of medicine, but in defense and other overall areas which are important for a country's image on the global page, isn't it?
Well, absolutely right, Preeti. The government is committed towards self-reliance, as in both the terms of the Modi government. We have seen the government's focus on self-reliance and Make in India. So it was again featured in the BJP's manifesto this time around, when the Prime Minister, during the release of the manifesto, spoke on the similar lines. And not just this, Preeti, if you remember, the UPI, which has been a significant achievement of the Modi government here in India, is something that has been replicated across several developed nations across the world. Also, the government's commitment to increase defense exports to other countries is also something that the government, if Modi 3.0, if elected back to power, would focus on. We are also seeing the government speak about the space sector, which was something that was not an election issue, or some years back, which most of the election manifestos of political parties in the erstwhile governments and in fact in the erstwhile manifestos did not feature. But this time we see the importance of the space sector being showcased in an election manifesto, and the BJP, which have been in power for the last 10 years, highlighting it again, that how the space sector would be of key importance to India, and how India could perhaps be one of the leaders in this sector. You also spoke about Gaganyaan, Preeti. Gaganyaan is a massive project of the government which plans to send manned mission to the space. So in fact this is something that the Modi government have promised for the last couple of years, and is expected to be a successful mission if when next government is elected back to power, and the Prime Minister has again highlighted the same things. And let us also talk about, when we talk of the international aspect, the government, in fact this government minces no words when it comes to securing its borders. And again, I am here in Northeast, which shares a long border with China. So here people are constantly talking about how the government has developed the border villages, the infrastructure along the border, which in fact Arunachal shares a long border with China. So the government over the last couple of years have developed strategic infrastructure in Arunachal Pradesh, for which shares a long border with China, for any eventuality, or to move its troops along the bordering areas of Arunachal Pradesh. And also there are multiple villages here that houses many residents along the borders of India and China. So the government has developed these villages under the Vibrant Village scheme. So this scheme is particularly for the villages along the bordering districts, not just along China but also along all the borders in India. So the government is securing its border. The government has been talking about how no country should take India lightly anymore, and India would give a befitting reply if any of its neighbors, including Pakistan and China, tries to meddle in the internal affairs of the country. So yes, India is hoping that if the next government is elected to power, it will have a more robust foreign policy.
All right, yes, it will have a more robust foreign policy. Another important highlight of the manifesto was the ambition for the women-led development, and how that India is leading in this women-led development on a global page as well. He talked of how drones have strengthened have empowered the women back home, and he also mentioned a number of measures that have been put in place for the empowerment of women. So he, apart from women, he also mentioned the three other pillars of the government, which are important, be it youth, be it farmers, the poor and marginalized sections. He specifically mentioned the efforts that have been made already, and also what could be of importance to these particular sections in the manifesto, the planned action in the manifesto for these marginalized sections, the youth, women, and also the farmers of the country.
Well, Preeti, you're absolutely right. The Prime Minister's, again, the focus of this government, Modi 2.0, had been women-led development and not development for women. He had been very categorical about it for a very long time, that we need to have a society that would be, that would talk about women-led development and not development for women. This is exactly what we again see in the manifesto of the BJP, which has been released just a short while back. The manifesto talks about self-help groups increasing the money for Mudra Yojana, also increasing increasing support for the self-help groups in here for all the women-led sectors here in India. So of course, women-led development would be a key feature of the government when it comes back to power. The Prime Minister also spoke about piped gases to all houses in the coming years. He also spoke about, how the government had been instrumental in providing, free LPG gases to households in the country, which which relieved many women across the country of the smoke that they had to undertake while cooking in wood-fired or traditional methods. So the Prime Minister talks about, how the gas bills could come down to almost zero, and the government, if elected back to power, will work towards that. The government also spoke about farmers. The farmer sector is also a key focus of the government over the last couple of years, and the government will keep on focusing on the development of the agricultural sector and the farming community across India. He also spoke about, the millets, how important millets would become in the coming years, and of course, you remember this government was in fact one of the first to talk about the superfood millets, and we also celebrated the year of millets just a year back. So these have once again featured in the manifesto, and will keep in focus when the government is elected back to power,
so in a nutshell,
in the coming days.
So in a nutshell, the ambitious manifesto of the BJP party talked of all the sections and sectors of the country that will be strengthened if the party is again elected to power. So we leave it here. Thank you so much, Dibyendu, for joining with that analysis. All right, the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh is going to pose in the first phase of the